How awful.
Oh, we're recording.
Here we are.
You just spring this on me every time.
I do.
I wasn't even singing this time.
You weren't singing this time. We are officially legal.
And drinking water.
How awful is legal? We are 21, episode 21. I'm Tanya Lee.
I'm B.
Welcome.
You know what's better than that? The people listening to this episode exist in Joe Biden's USA.
I know, isn't that great?
Well, not all of you.
Not all of you. That's true. We have
some of you are foreign, and to you I say, you know what? Fuck you. Sorry, Mom.
No, we say...
No, fuck you.
No.
Yes, no, I say that again.
We don't want to scare them off.
No, I say that because you get to live in better countries. Take us with you.
Oh, okay. It's a positive F you.
Sorry, Mom. I just said that twice.
We have a couple things to address here on the How Awful podcast before we get going.
We do indeed.
The first thing that I think we should just chat about is we got an email. Mm-hmm. An email. We got an email.
We got mail come.
It was very exciting. It was from...
It's exciting to be called out.
I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm guessing it's Noel.
What is it? Let me see it.
Noel.
Yeah, it might be Noel.
It could be Noel. Could be Noel or Noel. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, but from Georgia. Hello. Hi to you and Vincent and Sal, your assistants.
Oh, yeah.
May they be better assistants than Izzy and Moosh, who is literally yawning on the job.
Oh, we didn't take her bells off.
Oh, it's okay. She's going to have a decorative sound effect in the background.
Yeah.
But Noel wanted to let us know, and she is absolutely right.
Or they. We don't know her pronouns.
That's
Their
true.
pronouns.
They didn't sign with pronouns, so
we're going to they it up.
We're going to they it up. But they left us a note telling us that on episode 18, we did a no-no, and they are absolutely correct. We did a no-no. Mm-hmm. Basically, we spoke on Elliot Rodger and...
One Roger, singular Roger.
Singular Roger. And the fact that he might have been suffering from mental illness and was given a gun or was able to purchase a gun. Mm-hmm. And we had made some comments about maybe some mental health checks would be helpful, which...
Their point was that I believe they are diagnosed bipolar and own guns. Correct.
Safely. Holds trophies for rifle team.
So their point was that not all mentally ill or people who have been diagnosed with a mental health issue, people are unsafe to hold guns. That's never the point I was trying to make, and I am really sorry if that's what it came across as. And I know that that's not the point Tanya was trying to make either.
No.
That all mentally ill people should not be allowed to have weapons, or that mentally ill people in general are all capable of hurting others or themselves.
Right. They're not dangerous.
I'm a mentally ill person.
Right.
I have depression, I have anxiety, I have PTSD. So I'm not saying that as a judgment towards people who are mentally ill. More, if there were better vetting, they would have saw that his particular kind of mental illness made him a harm to others.
Right, or at least, well, I don't know. I think it's more so that the way that he carried himself and the things that he would say made him a danger to society, not that his mental illness made him a danger to society. And I think the interesting point to make, I think, and that they were trying to make in the email is that mental illness shouldn't, and it doesn't, hold you back from being able to purchase guns, and it should not. I guess my point is that I'm not really sure what the correct protocol should be. I mean, you know, I'm not a gun user. I've never shot a gun. I've never used a gun. So I don't really know, you know, what the appropriate way to pursue gun control.
For this. You can continue, but go ahead.
Yeah, I just think that we're no experts on this, and we acknowledge that having mental illness does not make you a danger to society, as we are both sufferers. Like, I have anxiety as well. I don't think that if I had a gun, I would be a danger to society.
No, I'm not a danger to society or myself.
Right.
My biggest problem is, am I going to shower today? I don't know. Probably not.
Right.
That's the hardest thing for me. The thing where I might become for is I don't entirely agree with Tanya, and I'm saying that with no judgment at all. I completely agree that people who suffer from mental illness or any sort of mental health issue, not all of them are dangers to themselves or others. Completely agree with that and should not be treated like they are or like they aren't contributing members of society. However, I do think guns should be taken away. I don't think anybody needs a gun. I don't.
That's fair.
I just don't agree with that sentiment whatsoever. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to pretend I agree with it just because I don't want to lose listeners. You have your gun. My grandpa was a gun owner and he suffered from dementia, and we had to scramble to get them out of his house in the safest way possible so he didn't shoot our grandmother. He never used them in a bad way. He used them to shoot snakes.
Right.
But still, there was no reason for him to have it.
No, but I think...
Unless you're in the armed services or you're a police officer or, it's just there are plenty of countries that get by without civilians owning guns.
Sure. And
they have way less crime, way less murder than us. And I don't see the point of them for anybody, healthy or not.
Yeah, and I think the point that they were trying to make as well is that we made a generalization.
Sure, yeah, and I agree with that. We did.
It's not intended to sound like we thought that anybody with a mental illness is a danger to society and would then wreak havoc or hurt anybody. I think the intention is that, we're both not gun users. I do agree that, I wouldn't want to own a gun, but that's me. That's, I don't necessarily think that it's something I can really speak on because I don't know the opposite side of the story. I really don't. So I don't have the understanding to, I think, address it in that way, to say like this or that. Like I might think that in my head, in my heart, I wouldn't want to use one. I wouldn't want one. I wouldn't want anybody else to have one. I would feel safer in a country that didn't have them. Yeah. Sure. But I don't know the other side of the coin. I don't know what it means to people to own that, or if they have a passion in the sport of gunning, which gunning. I don't know if that's the terms. Clearly, gunning? I don't know. But Noel clearly is a competitive gun user.
Sure.
She holds trophies for rifle team and as well as handgun competitions. So it is clearly made out to be a sport, and I think that's cool. I think that if you're going to do it that way, I think that's probably the best way to own a gun is to make it a sport.
If it is a sport, yes.
So, but like I said, we're not professionals. We don't don't hold the answer. We don't hold the key to gun control.
I don't know if I made things better or worse just now, but yeah.
No, I think I understand your point of view. Yeah. I think you're saying like this is how you feel and this is how you would feel safest. I don't think you're making a generalization. I think you're saying...
I think we live in a country where kids are taught how to protect themselves from a gunman as part of their school curriculum. Yeah. So that makes me not very pro-gun.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I think that's a very fair judgment. And
police officers use them when they have no right to.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
That's a different heavy topic.
It's still about gun control.
Another...
So hate me if you must.
But I don't think people will hate you.
Yeah. It's a very heavy topic for a lot of people.
It is.
But like I said, I'm not judging anybody who owns a gun. I'm just asking you to ask yourself why you need it. What does it bring to your life? That's all.
And I would love to hear the answer.
Yeah.
Another thing that we wanted to touch on was something really awful that came out this week, which was
Armie frickin' Hammer,
the cannibal.
Oh dear, this future serial killer that I'm sure will be featured on this podcast.
Armie cannibal.
I have dug so deep into this psycho this last week that I think every day I send Tanya like a million new horrible things that I've learned, and
like I need therapy just from reading it.
It's the girl who is posting and exposing all of this has said that she's gotten a lot of people messaging her that they've vomited, that they've passed out, that they've just had a very visceral reaction to what she's posted. And what she's posted is endless, and I do mean endless, proof that Armie Hammer is not only a rapist, but a cannibal and possibly a sadist, a narcissist, a psychopath, and could possibly, if not already, kill somebody. And should 100% be investigated by the FBI heavily, should never work in Hollywood again, should never be around his kids again, should never be around women again. You know what? Throw the whole man away. Put him in a box on an island far, far, far away. He would probably still find a way to be disgusting. Yeah. I never liked him.
No.
Validation. Bad valid. I didn't want this validation.
He is a terrifying.
Yeah, if you are unaware, if your eyeballs have managed to stray from the awfulness that is Armie Hammer cannibalism, or you're just seeing the Armie Hammer cannibal light, which is spreading around Twitter, which is basically just jokes about him wanting to eat Timothée Chalamet and like accusing him of alleged explicit text. No, that's not what's happening here.
No,
he isn't being accused of alleged explicit texts. He's being accused of physically assaulting over 200 women.
Yeah. And with the ruse that it's BDSM when it is not at
it
all.
It is not. And
close to BDSM. Not even remotely.
I do not have the full mental capacity to dig into this as deep as I want to, so I'll do it on a different date. But I have friends in the BDSM community who I've spoken to and gone over these text messages and these audio clips with to get advice on how best to approach this topic on the podcast, because I wanted to make it very clear that what you are reading that he is doing is not BDSM. Right. BDSM is a community for people who like to push their sexual limits a little bit more than the average vanilla Joe. It can include bondage. It can include pain kinks, sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Some people really enjoy some pain. It can even involve blood play.
Totally.
And that is what it is. If you're into that, no judgment. Go ahead. As long as everybody's safe and consensual. Have fun, guys. Go at it. Whatever. What Armie Hammer is doing is 500% not that. He does not establish safe words, which is the number one rule.
Yeah.
If you do not have a safe word, then you are not safe. This person wants to hurt you. They have no interest in your safety or your comfort or what you are consenting to. It is just about them. Escape immediately. He never established safe words. He never, ever listened to physical cues. He would promise these women that he wouldn't say, for instance, this is actually an example. He wanted to put his belt around a girl's throat. She told him no. He begged her to. She said, fine, but don't cinch it. He cinched it. She posted a picture of her throat, and it was all the way around red and purple and black bruise, because that's how hard he was cinching it. That is the opposite of BDSM. He also provided no aftercare, which is another very, very important part of BDSM. It is to take care of your partner, to show them that what you did was mutual, that you care for them and you take care of them. He wouldn't do that. He would leave them traumatized.
Sure.
Some of these women would end up in the hospital because of what he did to them.
And I think it's important to note, too, that, when we first saw these coming out, we were like,
okay, oh, God, oh, he's a freak. Okay,
he's a freak. Like, okay, he's into BDSM. Like, we didn't really, understand the full extent of it.
Yeah. It is never okay or normal to tell somebody that you are seeing intimately that you want to bust open their head and have sex with their brain matter. It is never okay to tell the person you're seeing that you want to break apart their ribs and barbecue it and eat it in front of them.
Right. And the point that I was going to make earlier was that, we were like, oh, like he's into BDSM, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, he was cheating on his wife. Like that part is gross.
Right.
But then once you dig deeper into the messages, I had a moment where I was like, okay, am I being judgmental? Is this BDSM? And I'm just not familiar with the community. And, and then we talked about it and I was like, oh no, like I'm not being naive. Yeah. Like this is actually pretty.
This is a rapist and an abuser hiding behind the guise of BDSM to hurt women. His goal.
To gaslight women.
As well. His goal, and he's made it clear, is that he wants these women to be his possessions that he physically keeps in cages and uses for his own physical pleasure. And one of them, he talks about how he wants to cut off her toe and keep it with him, and that if she keeps defying him, he'll continue to cut off pieces of her.
Yeah.
It's never ending. He included his children in some of this stuff. It's horrifying. You can Google it. You can follow House of Effie. That's House of EFFIE. I think she's on private now, but she is the whistleblower. Mm-hmm. She had a 4-year relationship with him. She's posting screenshots and endless proof. You might need her approval to follow her now. I still follow her. She's also House of Effie on Twitter. she's trying to get the word out. And if you have been abused by a public figure, it doesn't have to be this disgusting psychopath, but she gives you resources and she also gives you a platform to come forward about your abuser if you need that. House of Effie, House of EFFIE.
I will say I am living for this this other round of Me Too coming forward and really putting these scumbags to shame.
Definitely.
It's awful. It's like horrible to see, but
it's beyond awful. I don't think I've ever seen like a psychopath unfold in front of my eyes like this before.
But there is some pleasure in seeing women empower themselves and lift each other up and support each other.
Yes.
That has definitely been a beautiful outcome, I think, of all the awful things that happened.
Yes. Also, stop making a mockery of what happened to these women by DMing this disgusting man that you offering to let him eat you.
Yes.
This, who hurt you? Like,
so messed up.
There's so many people who are like making jokes or like think it's hot. This is not hot. This is abuse.
Yeah.
I repeat, and I will repeat it forever if I have to. Armie Hammer is a rapist.
No, thank you, Armie.
No, thank you.
Goodbye.
Although saying no, thank you would just turn him on more.
Yeah, exactly. So
disgusting piece of garbage. Also, he can't act anyway, so be gone.
All right. So
anyway,
should we move to a different celebrity death?
Yeah. Tell me about a dead celebrity. A different celebrity death, or yes, let's manifest that.
Well, I'm just saying, like, he's just like, his career is dead.
It's not, though. That's the thing.
I hope
it's not yet. So far, he has suffered no consequences, but being a meme.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, it'll get worse.
May the consequences come. All right, Tanya, tell me about a celebrity death. I've gotten ready? Worked up enough.
Okay. Born on November 26th.
Sorry. Go ahead. There's just no segue. Just jumps in. Go.
Well.
It's okay. Born on what?
I'm trying to get through this.
Okay, we're getting through it. Go.
Born on November 27th, 1940, in San Francisco, California, on the hour and the year of the dragon.
Oh.
Which, according to Chinese zodiac, is a strong and fortuitous omen.
Fortuitous.
Birth name, Lee Jun-han, which means return again.
I know what this is.
The English name, Bruce, is thought to have been given to him by the hospital attending physician, Dr. Mary Glover. So yes, we are talking about the...
Bruce Lee.
Yes.
Yes.
The ever-talented and pretty rad Bruce Lee.
You know, it's funny. The week I did Aaliyah, when I said I lost all my research, that was Brandon Lee.
Oh, okay.
Very sad.
Very sad, actually.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Bruce and his parents moved back. I'm actually going to refer to him as Lee because I would prefer to refer to him as
his given name.
Yes.
Okay.
So his given name is Lee. Lee and his parents moved back to Hong Kong when he was only 3 months old. His father was a Cantonese opera star and introduced Lee to acting at a very young age. He appeared in several movies as a child. His first film was when he was just a baby, and it was called Golden Gate Girl. And by the time he was 18, he had appeared in 20 films.
Dang.
Lee struggled in school and was transferred a few times due to poor academic performance and poor conduct. He would get in street fights constantly, enough that his parents decided that maybe he needed to be trained in the martial arts in order for him to let out his aggression and respect the art of fighting. So Lee began training in a martial art called Wing Chun, which is a form of Kung Fu, with trainer Yip Man. Yep, man. So in 1958, after students from Choi Lee Foot, a rival martial arts school, challenged Lee's Wing Chun school, he engaged in a fight on a rooftop. In response to an unfair punch by another boy, Lee beat him so badly that he knocked out one of his teeth, leading to a complaint by the boy's parents to the police. Lee's mother had to go to the police station and sign a document saying that she would take full responsibility for his actions if they released him into her custody. So afterwards, she suggested that Lee, being an American citizen, return to the United States as Lee's college prospects were he to remain in Hong Kong were not very promising.
Okay.
He's a fighting boy.
Yeah.
Getting arrested by the police.
Not the police.
No good. So in April 1959, Lee moved back to San Francisco to stay with his older sister, Agnes. After several months, he moved to Seattle to finish his high school education. While working at a restaurant called Ruby Chow, Lee started teaching martial arts on the side and eventually opened his own school, Lee Jun Fan Gung Fu Institute.
Gung Fu?
Yeah, it's another way that they reference Kung Fu. Eventually, Lee enrolled at the University of Washington and studied dramatic arts, philosophy, psychology, and other subjects. While studying, Lee met his future wife, Linda Emery, who he would go on to have 2 children with, Brandon and Shannon Lee.
R.I.P. Brandon.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Well, I don't think it's news.
No. He dropped out after nearly 3 years and moved to Oakland to live with well-known martial artists James Yim Lee. James was 20 years older than Lee, and they ended up opening another martial arts school. And at this point, Lee had abandoned thoughts of a film career in favor of pursuing martial arts because he was like, I'm a grown-up now. I was a child star. That was my thing then. It's not my thing now.
Grown-ups pursue martial arts.
I'm grown. I'm gonna do kung fu instead.
I'm gonna do kicking, hiya, and
yes,
kicking.
Exactly.
And chopping.
Yeah,
punch,
chop, chop. However, we know nothing about martial arts.
Clearly,
sorry. Oh boy. However, a martial arts exhibition in Long Beach in 1964 eventually led to the invitation by television producer William Dozier to audition for a role in a pilot called Number One Son about Lee Chan, the son of Charlie Chan, and the show never materialized, but this reinvigorated the acting spark for Lee. He would go on to be in films such as Enter the Dragon, Way of the Dragon, The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, Marlowe, Game of Death, and he's very commonly known for this TV show, The Green Hornet. On May 10th, 1973, Lee collapsed during an ADR session for Enter the Dragon at Golden Harvest in Hong Kong. He had also suffered from a seizure and a headache the whole day. When he passed out, he fell to the ground and had seizured.
But he had a headache all day.
He had a headache all day long. So it was kind of not weird, but it was it all felt like it went together. Yeah. My brain is literally shutting down. Yep. So he was rushed to the hospital where he was diagnosed with cerebral edema. Okay. Which, for those that don't know, is basically just swelling of the brain. Doctors were able to reduce the swelling, and Lee was discharged. A couple months later, on July 20th, 1973, Lee met up with actor George Lazenby, who we all know was once Mr. Bond.
We all knew that?
He was one of the Bonds.
I cared 0% about Bonds, so I didn't know that.
Neither. But anyway.
But you watched them all, even though you hated them all. Fun fact about Tanya.
That's a whole other story. Yep. I felt like it was a rite of passage, and I really hated my time. I really don't like James Bond. No. But yeah, he was meeting with George to offer him a role in his upcoming film, The Game of Death. After this meeting, Lee went back to a hotel where he met up with his supposed mistress, Betty Ting Pei, and around 2 p.m., his friend Raymond Chow came over, and the 3 of them ran lines for Game of Death. And eventually they planned a dinner that evening with George to celebrate the movie. But before they were about to leave, Lee again was complaining about headaches. So Betty gave him a painkiller called Aquagesic, which contains both aspirin and the tranquilizer meprobamate. So Lee told them, go ahead, I'll take this, basically aspirin, and I'll rest a little bit. I'll meet you guys after. Of course, Lee never shows up. So when Betty gets back 2 hours later, she finds Lee asleep in bed. She tries to wake him up, not successful. So she calls Chow in a panic, and he rushes over to her apartment, but at this point, it's too late. Chow calls for an ambulance to have him transported to a nearby hospital. The doctors continue to work on his lifeless body before declaring his time of death as 11:30 p.m. He was 32 years old.
Oh, God, he was a baby. I didn't know he was that young.
Super young. So Raymond Chow is said to have told the media that Lee had collapsed at home with his wife, Linda, to avoid the scandal of saying, oh, he collapsed in Betty's hotel room. Yeah. Or apartment. I'm not sure if it was a hotel or apartment. But of course, that truth was uncovered not long after because the media finds out about everything. Andre Morgan, who was a film producer who worked with Lee and Chow, said, quote, the stories were rampant. Stories about him dying from an overdose, dying from screwing too much, dying with an erection, dying from being hacked to death by young thugs, poisoned by his servant. There was one story that he wasn't even really dead, end quote. Students in Kuala Lumpur demonstrated carrying placards that read, "Betty killed Bruce."
Okay.
Rumors.
Unfair.
Yeah, not fair. Rumors began spreading in Hong Kong that a hit had been taken out on her life. Like they were like threatening to kill her. In early August, a bomb threat was called in to the police, who discovered in a public square a suspicious brown paper bag with Chinese writing that said, "Betty Ting knows the cause of Bruce Lee's death." The bomb turned out to be a hoax. The bag was filled with trash, but over the next few weeks, 3 more fake bombs were planted across the city with messages that said, "Revenge for Bruce Lee." So the autopsy had revealed his cause of death as a cerebral edema, which is, again, the swelling of the brain. But the coroner had no idea what had actually caused it. They just, his brain's swelling, so that's what he died from.
Right.
2 of Bruce's doctors blamed the weed he had consumed that afternoon, but the idea was quickly dismissed since it is scientifically impossible for cannabis to cause a cerebral edema.
Right.
The government flew in an expert from London who offered what inevitably became the documented cause of death, which was a severe allergic reaction to aspirin or anaphylactic shock.
Really?
So most of Lee's fans clearly did not buy this conclusion. Lee, as we know, was a hardcore martial artist. He was an athlete who had taken aspirin most of his adult life without any side effects.
Right.
Moreover, anaphylaxis, which is defined as a severe allergic reaction, is almost always accompanied by other symptoms, including an inflamed trachea, neck, tongue, and lips, as well as hives and red itchy skin in and around the mouth. In fatal cases, the swelling of the throat blocks the airway, resulting in asphyxia and cerebral edema.
Right.
The autopsy revealed none of these symptoms, so it couldn't have been an aspirin allergy that killed Lee. Several months before his death, Lee had an operation to remove sweat glands from his armpits because he thought the wet pits looked bad on screen. So obviously this would reduce his body's ability to dissipate heat. So let's go back to the day he collapsed in the ADR room.
ADR rooms are hot.
The engineers turned off the air conditioner to cut the noise out so it didn't ruin the recording.
Right.
And after about 30 minutes in the sauna-like room, Lee fainted and started convulsing.
Right.
No one realized his collapse was most likely due to heat stroke. And that's one of the most common killers of young athletic men in the summertime.
Right.
In the United States alone, an average of 3 high school and college football players die every year of heat stroke.
Jeez.
A common finding in autopsies of heat stroke victims is cerebral edema.
That's scary.
A person who has suffered one heat stroke is at increased risk for another.
Yeah, that's why I get overheated so fast, because I've had heat stroke.
Yeah, says Dr. Lisa Leone, who's an expert in hyperthermia at the U.S. Army Research Institute of Environmental Medicine. She says patients experience multi-organ dysfunction during the hours, days, and weeks of recovery, which increases the risk of long-term disability and death.
Fun.
So that makes sense maybe why it would have happened so soon after, again.
Yeah.
And according to records of the Hong Kong Observatory, July 20th, 1973 was the hottest day of the month that year.
Yeah.
So Chow had even stated, quote, "Bruce wasn't feeling very well. I wasn't feeling very well either. I think we had some water and then he was acting. He was always very active when he was acting. And telling the story, he acted out the whole thing. So that probably made him feel a little tired and thirsty. And after a few sips, he seemed to be a little dizzy." End quote. So this is when he began complaining of a headache, which is a common symptom of hyperthermia. And then
Hypothermia?
Hyperthermia, which is overheating and stuff.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And then took the pain meds that Betty offered him and went to lie down. So now for a little bit of a supernatural angle. There is a legend that there is a Lee family curse.
Right.
Which came to light 20 years later when his son Brandon passed away.
Right.
His son Brandon was a rising star at the age of 28, just landed the legendary role of Eric Draven in The Crow.
Such a good movie.
Story has it, Brandon died in a freak accident when he was shot on set while filming by a prop gun that was accidentally loaded with real bullets and fired a live round into his abdomen. We all know there are so many conspiracy theories there as well.
Yeah. That it was the mafia, Chinese mafia.
Yeah,
is that what it is? That was after Bruce, but couldn't go for Bruce, so they got Brandon. Yeah.
It's interesting to me that both of their deaths are surrounded by conspiracy theories.
Yeah. I still feel so bad for that actor. That actor still is like so traumatized.
Yeah.
Because he had no idea.
No.
And he killed somebody.
You know, like I said, like his father, rumors of a conspiracy swirled even after officials ruled his death an accident. And the untimely end of his second young Lee led to the story of a Lee family curse. Mm-hmm. So once Brandon died young, everybody was like, something's up here.
Right. God, he was so good looking.
I know. Oh, so was
Brandon.
Bruce, honestly.
Yeah, but Brandon.
I know.
Lord.
But yeah, someone also dug up some information that Bruce Lee's older brother had also died under mysterious circumstances before Bruce was born. And with that rumor just became a full-fledged mystery.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the story of Bruce Lee, a.k.a. Lee Jun-han. Something pretty interesting about him that, I mean, I think is pretty obvious, but I don't think it's talked about a lot, is I think he saw a Hollywood that had a lot of stereotypes about Asian Americans, mm-hmm. and fought against those stereotypes and mm-hmm. created opportunities for his community. And, you know, he really brought the Kung Fu film to Western civilization. I mean, definitely. I'm not a big Kung Fu fan.
No.
But I can definitely appreciate
the art of it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't even know if you remember, like, Breakfast at Tiffany's. It was like Mickey Rourke like played the like angry Asian neighbor.
Yeah.
And like
super horrible stereotype.
The worst stereotype ever. Oh my God, it's so terrible. And you know, I think Asian Americans are commonly known as the modest minority.
Right.
You know, basically implying that
they don't really put up a fuss.
They don't put up a fuss.
Yeah. They're not really open about the blatant racism they face every day.
Yeah. And so I think a character like Bruce Lee was really important for their community because he came in and said, screw these stereotypes. I'm going to show you what our culture is really about.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be a superstar. And
Definitely.
He was a huge star. So mad respect to him and his family. Mm-hmm. My sources were Wikipedia.
Of course.
Heyo.
We love it.
A History.com article called How Did Bruce Lee Die? Hint, it may have been related to his sweat glands. by Matthew Polly.
Okay.
An All That's Interesting article called The Mysterious Circumstances Surrounding Bruce Lee's Death by Katie Serena. And a really amazing 30 for 30 documentary called Be Water, where they really talk about the racism that Bruce faced.
Right.
They also talked about how, I don't know if it was his mother or his grandmother, but maybe it was his mother, was in one of the Japanese concentration camps.
Oh, wow.
In California. She was, you know, they were living in San Francisco at the time. And so it was just a really, really interesting story about some history that is not often talked about.
Right.
So it's a really great watch. If you have ESPN, check it out. It's a really, really, I was actually really engaged and interested, even though I was never really a big Bruce Lee fan. I loved that.
Could appreciate, for sure.
I could appreciate it. It was a great doc. It was really well done. All those 30 for 30 docs are really, really well done.
Fun fact about Brandon.
Yeah.
I mean,
you have some research under your belt at least.
Obviously, he was like put under a lot of pressure to follow in his dad's footsteps, and they wanted him to do kung fu movies and study martial arts. And after his dad died, he gave up martial arts. He couldn't do it.
Yeah. He was like 8 when his dad died. Yeah,
he couldn't do it, but he had been studying. But he gave it up. He went to school. He was really rebellious. He actually ended up dropping out of high school and got his GED. And
a little like his dad.
Yeah, very much like his dad.
Yeah.
And when he started studying martial arts again, it was in like a Bruce Lee studio.
Oh.
So there were pictures of his dad everywhere. And he actually requested to start practicing somewhere else because being faced with his dad every day was traumatizing for him.
It's also like look
at the shadow that you're in. And when he got Eric Draven, they wanted Eric to be more like kung fu-ish. Like obviously Eric was a fighter.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to do that because he wanted to be his own person. He wanted to make his own mark on the world. And I think everybody knew watching that movie that Brandon absolutely would have been massive.
Yeah, I mean, you introduced me to The Crow, and when we were real young, and it was an experience.
First time I saw The Crow, I was probably like 7 years old.
Yeah.
Because my brother's 6 years older than me. He loved it. I mean, he went as The Crow for Halloween when he was 16. he loved it. He was obsessed with The Crow, and it got me obsessed with it. And I had my Crow Hot Topic t-shirt when I was like 14, 15. Oh, God. Can't rain all the time.
So good.
I still love that movie. It's still so good. And I know they're trying to remake it. And I just don't know how they can. There are people that could be Eric and it work. Brandon it's big shoes to fill. Okay. All so. Right.
Tell me some lore.
I'm going to tell you some lore. Also, shout out to Jamie, because she found this. She absolutely butchered the name of it when she was trying to suggest it to me. But you know what? It's seeing it spelt out. It's hard. We'll cut her some slack. But thanks for the topic, Jamie. I'm going to tell you about La Llorona.
La Llorona.
Yes.
I wanted to try it.
La Llorona.
La Llorona. Oh, it's sexy.
It is. Yes.
Is this going to be sexy?
No. Oh. She's a Latin American folklore. She's otherwise known as the Weeping Woman or the Wailer.
Oh, no, that's not sexy.
No. She's a ghost who roams the waterfront areas mourning her drowned children. There are many backstories to her legend. The story of La Llorona, most commonly used by Latinx mothers wanting to scare their children into behaving by telling them, if you're not good, La Llorona will come and take you and drown you.
Why are all these cryptids and lore people, why are they all to punish bad children?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's like, it's typical mom stuff. Just threatening your children with death. But I mean, if you ask any Latinx, Hispanic friend or person that you know what their story of La Llorona is, and they either claim to have seen her or can tell you about their mother or grandmother or auntie threatening them with La Llorona.
I love it.
So she's an important figure of mythology and storytelling traditions, not just in Mexico and the U.S., but throughout the Latinx world. Her mythology dates back to pre-colonization, and until recently, she was kept alive mostly through oral storytelling between families. She can be categorized as part urban legend, part cryptid, and part paranormal.
Ooh-wee.
Some of the tellings are meant as a parable where listeners are meant to learn from the woes of the weeping woman. She's described in many ways as a tall, thin spirit, naturally blessed with beauty and long flowing black hair, wearing a white gown. She roams the rivers and creeks, wailing into the night and searching for children to drag screaming to a watery grave. Or she's described as a tall, skinny creature with black eyes, very pale skin, sometimes with fur that can be heard weeping. La Llorona, named Maria, was born to a peasant family in a lower-class village. She was startlingly gorgeous, and that captured the attention of both the rich and the poor men in the area.
All the men's.
All the men's. She brought all the boys to the yard.
Milkshake brings other.
She was said to spend her days in her peasant surroundings, but in the evenings, she'd put on her best white gown and thrill the men who admired her in the local fandangos. The men anxiously awaited her arrival, and she loved the attention she received. However, La Llorona had 2 small children, and spending the nights out was difficult. She often left them alone while she went out with these men. One day, the 2 small boys were found drowned in the river. Some say they drowned through her neglect. Others say that Maria may have killed them herself, so she'd be set free. Her story parallels the story of La Malinche, a.k.a. Doña Maria. She was I'm sorry if I butcher this, she was a Nahua woman, I'm sorry, offered as a slave to Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortez by a Mayan lord. She served as his translator, cultural mediator, and concubine. They had a child, and then he abandoned her when his upper-class Spanish bride arrived. La Malinche is considered both the mother of the modern Mexican people and a symbol of national treachery for her role in aiding the Spanish. Although nowhere describes how she aided the Spanish.
But she's helpful.
She aided the Spanish. Damn you, La Malinche. Okay. Another legend says that La Llorona was a caring woman full of life and love, who married a rich man who gave her gifts and attention. However, after she gave birth to their 2 sons, he changed and began to live a life of womanizing and alcohol, often leaving Maria, even talking about leaving her to marry a woman of his own wealth.
Ew.
Yeah.
We don't like those kind of guys.
When he did come home, it was only to visit the kids, and that devastated Maria. She began to feel resentment towards the boys.
You don't say, towards the boys?
Yes. because he gave all the boys the attention and none to Maria. One night while walking with her two sons, her husband came by in a carriage with an elegant lady beside him. He stopped and only spoke to his kids, ignoring Maria, before driving away and not looking back. This sent Maria off the deep end. She flew into a rage and turned on her sons. She grabbed them and threw them into the river. As they disappeared downstream, she realized what she had done and ran down the riverbank to try and save them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but it was too late.
Yeah, well, control your urges. Jeez.
Maria broke down into inconsolable grief, running down the street, screaming and wailing. She mourned them day and night and would not eat. She walked along the riverbank in her white dress, searching for her boys, hoping they'd come back. She cried endlessly as her gown became soiled and torn. When she continued to refuse to eat, she grew thinner and appeared taller until she looked like a walking skeleton.
Oh, God.
Still a young woman, she finally died on the banks of the river, forever in search of her sons.
This is sad.
Yeah. Not long after her death, her spirit was seen walking the banks of the Santa Fe River when the sun went down. Her weeping became a curse of the night, and people began to be too afraid to go out after dark. She was said to be seen drifting between the trees along the shoreline or floating on the current with her long white gown spread out on the water. People would see her walking the riverbank and crying. That is how she lost her name Maria and was known as La Llorona, the weeping woman, from then on. Children were warned not to go out in the dark because she would snatch them and throw them into the water to die. The legends vary, but all state the same fact, that she is known to show no mercy and act with no hesitation. She's just going to snatch you and drown you.
Oh, boy.
Some say she kills indiscriminately, taking men, women, and children, whoever gets too close. Others say that she is very barbaric and kills only children.
Oh, God.
Yeah. She's been seen across many rivers over the entire Southwest, and the legend has become part of Hispanic culture everywhere. The biggest part of the legend is that those who do not treat their families well will see her and she will teach them a lesson. Her movements have been traced throughout the Southwest and as far north as Montana on the banks of the Yellowstone River. So there are videos that I will post on Patreon that people have caught La Llorona. Either the sound of her or there's one video I hate so much. It is a drone video, and the drone is like going over a landscape, and then you see a woman with black long hair in a white gown, and it's her back, and she's just facing, and she's just standing there.
Oh, I hate that. Oh my God, I hate that.
And then
my eyes are watering.
Yeah, there's another one where a couple's walking on the water bank, and they're speaking Spanish, so I don't know what they're saying. But you see this, it looks almost like those holograms from the Haunted Manor in the ballroom scene. It almost looks like that. Oh. But it's out on the water, and it's like floating, and it clearly looks like a dress. And they're they're saying in Spanish, what is that? Do you see that? Whatever. And then you hear her scream.
No.
And the scream is horrible.
How do we know? Do we know this is real?
We don't know if it's real, but
whatever.
We don't. Fun with it. And then there's another one. And it's a security guard who does his rounds at night, and he works by a riverbank, and you don't see anything, but you just hear endless scream crying. Oh no, not the security guards. Yeah. And he's just like, what the hell is going on? And you just hear, I'll post these, but a lot of scream crying. I know. Yeah. Nope. Yep. So La Llorona has been depicted in film and television since 1935. Oh. But the most recent being the 2019 The Curse of La Llorona. Oh, yeah. I think I'd heard of that. Yeah, she's one of the Conjuring movies. Mm-hmm. I believe we went to Universal Horror Nights when they had the La Llorona maze, and we did the La Llorona maze. That's why I know what it is. Exactly. Okay. That's why you know what it is. Because we were like, what's La Llorona? Oh, God, we're so embarrassed. La Llorona. We are so embarrassed. That's still not as bad as Jamie pronounced it. Don't tell me. I don't even know how to recreate it. Okay. Poor Jamie. Sorry, Jamie. Sorry, Jamie. Yeah, so that's La Llorona. The thing I find interesting is La Malinche is based off of a real woman. Okay. So that's a theory that's tied to a real woman. Yeah. And this being her spirit. But the other stories are just oral storytelling. We don't know if they're real stories that have been passed down or if some, grandmother or mother made it up one day to scare their child and it has turned into this tradition of storytelling for the Latinx community. Well, that's the most interesting thing about lore
is that,
how does it get passed on? Yeah. We have no idea the origin of it.
And it's like a game of telephone. It can get repeated and changed so many different ways, and then it just turns into this monster, literally.
Right. So my sources were also Wikipedia.
Hey-o.
Also, a slapped ham article. I repeat, a slapped ham. No. Article called Scary La Llorona. Sightings caught on camera. And then a Legends of America article called La Llorona again. Wow. I've said La Llorona so many times. I really hope I'm saying it right.
I hope you are too, because now I'm saying it.
La Llorona.
I like the way you
La Llorona.
I like when you
You like when I when I for you.
Okay, well,
all right, we're done.
Should we talk about some wonderful things? Because
do you have something wonderful?
I think we have a collective how wonderful.
We do.
Today is the last day of the Trump presidency. Like we said earlier on in the show, you guys have already been existing in a new presidency. If you are a
how's it going?
United States citizen. Yeah.
Is the inauguration day okay? We're a little scared. It's tomorrow.
Gosh, this is not gonna age well if something happens.
Oh God.
Oh man.
We won't post it if something happens.
But yeah, I think that's pretty wonderful.
It is. That's very. That can be both of ours.
I think it's a you know what else could be a collective? How wonderful.
What?
We just started Bridgerton.
Oh yeah, we love it.
We love it. It's so good.
We love it. I love how all of us, by all of us, I mean our quarantine pod, it's just me, Tanya, and Jamie.
Yeah.
We're sitting there last night, like, get to the sex, do the sex, and then the sex started, and it didn't stop, and we were all like, okay, that's enough.
Please stop banging.
We're all just hanging out with our friends.
This is very awkward.
Watching some Jane Austen porn.
Also, can we just talk about how no one's first time
is like that. No one. Although I do appreciate that the Duke warned her that it might hurt, but then the opposite happened.
When he pulls out.
And he like rolls over really fast. Sorry, spoiler.
Oh yeah, don't listen to this.
But anyway, we are fans of Regé Jean.
Oh, Regé Jean.
Yeah, hello, Regé Jean.
I can't do it anymore. Oh, golly.
But I'm also a fan of Anthony.
Yeah, I don't like him as a character.
I don't like him as
he is very attractive. Yeah, he's a very... I don't even know that actor's name. I didn't bother to learn it.
I didn't learn it.
I just learned Regé Jean.
But apparently he's going to be on... the next season is going to be about him.
Oh.
Because every season of Bridgerton supposedly is going to be about a different character's finding love, their journey. So this is Daphne's, and then it's going to be Anthony's next season. So I've heard.
How sweet.
I was talking to my mom about it because I was like, this is a period piece and it's horny, right up Rose's alley. And of course, she'd already watched all of it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she'd already watched all of it.
She didn't talk to you about it?
No.
How rude.
I know. And she goes, I just love Eleanor. Or Eloise.
Eloise is my favorite too.
Eloise is our favorite too. She loved her so much she didn't even know her name.
Oh dear. I love her. She's so pure and
she's the best.
Yeah.
We're talking about my mom or Eloise?
Your mom.
Yes, my mom is the best. So is Eloise. But yes. Eloise so my mom is hoping that she gets her own season.
Aww.
And I do too. And I kind of have a feeling she's
I don't think she's straight.
Yeah, of the female on female persuasion. So I definitely think that would be a really interesting season.
I was about to say I relate to her the most.
Well, yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
We don't have to relate to her sexuality relate to her as a person. But we get to deal with the Armie Hammers of the world. I'm just going to be stuck on this.
Hopefully. There are some.
Can I name this episode Armie Hammer is a rapist? No? Allegedly.
It was just cannibal something. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll think of something.
We'll into it. Oh,
I'm not even though TIMOTHEE CHALAMEAL is funny.
Oh. No, he is a Chalameal.
He is a Chalameal. And a shallot snack. That doesn't work.
Sure. Well, you know what? Timo snack.
Timo snack.
Timo snack Chalameal.
No, I hate this. We vote entirely for if they do a Call Me by Your Name sequel, it to be only Elio based, but also a different director because Luca Guadagnino is apparently involved in some of this stuff with Armie.
Also being creepy.
Also being creepy.
I'm just tired of creepies.
Too many creepies.
Izzy.
Too many. Oh, she said it's over.
Izzy.
It's over for you, hoes, is what she just said.
Are you done?
She's done. We're done. It's
pet?
fine.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
What if I did the challenge where I reached down to pet her and didn't touch her?
She would just pet herself. We've done this before.
It's true.
Anyway, where can they find us? My brain doesn't work like that. You got to tell them.
Okay, I'm going to turn it on.
Oh.
You can find us at www.howawfulpodcast.com. You can find us on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you can find us at How Awful Podcast. We are also on YouTube, where we have transcribed episodes for your hearing impaired friends. Yes. And you can just search for How Awful Podcast on YouTube, and our channel will appear, and you should subscribe. You
can find us on all the social medias that have banned Donald Trump.
Oh, that's never going to get old.
No.
You can
including Pinterest. Oh my God. Isn't that the best part? He was banned from Pinterest.
What would he use it for?
No Cheeto aesthetic boards for him.
Also, side note, I just got a news notification that his pardons came out. He did not pardon himself.
We can't.
No, but he knew he could.
No, he can't.
Couldn't he have?
No. Oh. That's why they were saying he's going to resign so that Pence is president, so that Pence can pardon him. He can't pardon himself.
But he also didn't pardon any members of his family.
Idiot.
So, you are just chasing a ghost.
Jingle bells. No.
No.
No. Who did he pardon?
Steve Bannon, which is
honestly.
And Lil Wayne.
I'm sorry.
I died.
I'm sorry.
I was trying not to laugh as when you were reading your story, and I was like, what?
He pardoned Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne. Here's the headline.
Trump's last-minute pardons include Bannon, Lil Wayne, and scores of others.
I don't know who
scores of others.
All I care about is why
Lil
I really want to be a fly on the wall when Trump was like, you know who
Wayne.
You know who I'm gonna pardon? You know who? I
hope he said little.
Like I just did.
Lil Wayne.
Like I did when I said it, Lil Wayne. I literally heard myself and I was like, oh God.
Talk about somebody who gives me the creeps.
Oh, another creepy man. I don't know. He's just...
What's he in jail for? Probably something creepy.
And you know what? The reason why he's creepy is because his lyrics are creepy.
I hate listening to him talk. Rap talk.
Okay, anyway, you can also find our Patreon at patreon.com/howawfulpodcast, where you can support us
by giving us money
and our show, and there's special things on there like a blog and goodies that you don't hear on the show. So come hang out with us there, because we got lots of action going on there.
Not their goodies.
Exactly.
I haven't sang this episode.
You also can email us at gmail.com.
Gmail.com. Yeah, at gmail.com.
Oh God, at howawfulpodcast@gmail.com.
Our brains don't work.
You can tell us all your thoughts, all your complaints. You can tell us all your story. Be nice though.
Be nice.
Be nice like Noel.
Yeah, be nice like Noel.
We liked them.
We did.
I don't want to choose your pronouns.
I very much appreciate it. Yeah, can we do that?
Yeah.
If you write us an email, please include your pronouns somewhere in the header or signature. So we know how to refer to you.
We don't sound like fools.
Otherwise, you're going to be a unicorn. If you'd like to be a unicorn.
Which, I mean,
if that's how you identify.
Pretty dope. Oh, there's chase.
Wow.
There's a chase. The assistants are fighting.
Fire.
Oh, that's an HR issue.
Oh, God.
That's a major HR issue. Anyway, you can email us at howawfulpodcast@gmail.com. We also are looking for people to tell us their scary stories or their traumatizing stories. We want to hear it.
Do we want to hear about their trauma?
Well, maybe not like...
Okay.
We're not therapists.
No.
But
yes, please keep that in mind. We're not therapists.
But tell us your horror stories. We want to tell them on the show.
Yeah.
If you've experienced something awful, like if you've been involved or have
your grandparents told you any crazy stories? They have. Send us your grandparents' crazy stories.
Yeah, that'd be good. But yeah, that's where you can find us on all the places and
all of the places,
all the ways, and we're here for you, and we love you, and we appreciate your ears.
Oh, okay. What if they don't have ears?
Made it awkward. Sorry. Okay, well, we'll see you next time.
Who are you?
I'm Tanya Lee.
I'm B.
And that's Izzy and Moosh in the background being naughty assistants.
Fired. How awful, Amelie. As always, we've been B and Tanya Lee. Our logo was created by MJ Savard, and our theme music courtesy of Nikki Lou.